Hello, welcome to this special edition of All Things Business, the podcast, and to part 2 of something which got the business community of Northamptonshire really buzzing just a short time ago. Good evening, and welcome to the Northamptonshire Business Excellence Awards, live from Fabtronic, Malton Park, Northampton. Yes, it's part 2 of our look at the awards, which, because of the coronavirus pandemic, had to be delivered virtually to an audience across the county and beyond at the end of last month. Coming up over the following 35 minutes or so, you'll be hearing from more of the winners of the 12 sponsored categories which made up the glittering event. You'll also be hearing from the man whose team put the awards night together and why he thinks that having the awards is important for the present and for the future too. But more of Ben Thomas later. I'm John Griff, and stand by to hear from some more experts in excellence. We start again with awards judge Richard Osborne though. Richard heads up the Business Data Group, helping businesses getting started and on occasion challenging the government of the day, principally through Companies House. Richard told me that in his opinion, as a judge, the winners had proved that they had the staying power to adapt, manage and trade out of an economy in recession and battered by COVID-19.
That's exactly it. It's what separates a good business from an exceptional business. Somebody can be good at business just by selling a good product and making a good bit of money, and being profitable, and that's great. That's just being good business. But what makes you exceptional, and that's the entrepreneurial spirit within the business, is that you're always looking ahead, or you're prepared to take a gamble, to take a step that really is going to think, right, this is all changing around me now. I've got to do something different, and whether you're afraid of making that step or not, you just do it. And that is the difference in my mind between a good business and an entrepreneurial business.
That's Richard Osborne, one of the panel of judges at the 2020 Northamptonshire Business Excellence Awards. Right, on to the winners, part 2. Marketing Campaign of the Year, sponsored by Franklin Solicitors LLP. Northampton Town Football Club. There were plenty of contenders for the title of Marketing Campaign of the Year, but when the referee's whistle blew, it was the team at the PTS Academy Stadium for Northampton Town Football Club which ended up as champions. Caroline Lucy from the Cobblers was quick to make the point that their marketing campaign had to overcome not only not having crowds at games across the UK, but also the loss of revenue that went with it.
Absolutely. The whole sort of not being able to have fans with us, either at the PTS Academy Stadium or when we went to Wembley was certainly a challenge. But, now we've got fans all over the world that we've been able to reach and talk to and engage with, right from the cobbler in the crowd, which we kicked it all off with, through to all the virtual the mascots, the VIP fans, the hospitality, which was all done on Zoom. And huge amounts of copy went into that, and hours from our media team and Tom Cliff, who was our match day host. We've got something to look forward to now.
How far is that marketing campaign added to the bottom line? Because if you haven't got people in the stadium, if you haven't got the sales revenue coming from the bars and so on, that's a massive hit for the club. How far has that campaign been able to support your revenue generation?
You take it beyond the virtual world into the digital world, and we've been able to relieve some opportunities that they held, such as the advertising on the website and such like. We've been able to release that, so we're now able to generate revenue as a result of that. The actual campaign itself was, it went some way. It didn't go a massive amount of the way that you would have if you took 40,000 fans to Wembley, for example. But, it certainly had an impact on a playoff time that was a very expensive time for the club. Not only, with the COVID testing that the players and the backroom team all had to adhere to, but costs of fielding and putting on matches.
Right now, you still can't get Cobblers fans into the PTS, but hopefully, if the roadmap follows the path that has been set, by the time we get to the back end of June, that will have changed and that will be a different situation. How far is this campaign now going to be almost a part of the daily existence of Northampton Town Football Club?
It absolutely will be. As I said, the beauty of all of this was the opportunities that it created, and being able to physically invite people from Saudi Arabia, Africa, Australia, Cuba into a virtual hospitality room was brilliant. But also we were able to engage with people who had mental health illness, who would not be able to come to a game because that illness would deter them from coming to the game. But in the tranquility of their own living room, they were able to join us and to be part of that. So, it has taken us into different areas that we will continue with going into the new season, which, we're all absolutely desperate to get back.
And from Cuba to Sixfields, we're back to that family feeling as it applies to football again. Of course, Caroline, it now means that having one marketing campaign of the year for 2020, your team has now got to go and get something out of its box of ideas for 2021. What's bubbling over there?
Oh, well, to be honest with you, we are blessed in that we are, we have a very creative mind. We challenge ourselves constantly. It's not something, we don't just run with the same old. We do try and come up with new innovative ideas. We're just looking at the season tickets at the moment. We've come up with a campaign which we're hoping works. It certainly works in my head. Whether it works on paper is a completely different thing. But that's where the challenge comes. The virtual hospitality was something that came out of my head. But then I had to open it up to the team and say, could this work? Can we make it work? What do you think? If it can't, it can't. But if it can, then it's brilliant, and people chuck their own steer on things, and that's why it's all, it's part of a bigger team effort, and the fans play such a big part of everything that we do on the creative side, because without the fans, we're nothing.
You're absolutely right, Caroline. It's back of the net time for the marketing teams, and congratulations on winning the award. Let's hope it's back of the net for the team on the pitch before very much longer. And here's to onwards and upwards for the Cobblers as 2021 rolls towards 2022. Good to talk to you. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
That's Caroline Lucy from Northampton Town Football Club. Food and Drink Award, sponsored by SH Pratt Group. Brooklyn Brownie Company. How many people do you know who carry on the business of their business on a night when they're up for a major award in business excellence? It's exactly what John Lashley and his son were doing as the announcement came through that they had won the food and drink category. And they carried on working all the way through John's acceptance speech too. The pair were still working long after the awards when I spoke to John about how the Brooklyn Brownie Company originally came into being. I asked him if the business is actually a franchise for something based stateside.
The business is completely homegrown, built by myself and Leo. Well, at the time when we started, he was 12. But yeah, we wanted it from inception to feel larger than what it was. And we knew that worked because at one point when I was on a FaceTime with my mother she's back home in New York, she was like, "Oh, this Brooklyn Brownie thing. Oh yeah, I think there's one in Flushing." I was like, "Mom, what are you talking about? This is something me and Leo made, and it's in the UK only." So I think we cracked it. But when I made my mom believe that we were like a huge franchise.
And when we say that you are the Brooklyn Brownie Company, I mean clearly you've got vast factory premises, or is it your kitchen? From what I've seen in the local press.
Yeah, well, the thing is, we couldn't find a dark kitchen during the first lockdown, and that's when we needed to figure out how to up production. Just because everything really exploded then. There was a huge demand for baked goods sent directly to people's doors. So we had to figure out how to upscale what we had because no one could rent a dark kitchen at that time. And finally, I just went, you know what, let's just strip out the entire lower part of the house. And we did. So we have an industrial kitchen and a packing facility in the back. And it's all stainless steel. Everything's looking good.
For a lot of people, business becomes their life. Your business has become the life of both you and Leo. You're both the dudes. You're the big dude. He's the little dude. But also, it's been a process of healing, John, because soon after the business set up, there was a tragic family bereavement. Just how important then did the business become to you?
Failure wasn't an option then. when that occurred. Everything had to pivot. I had to make sure that I was around for Leo always. I was used to working freelancing, sometimes going into London for my visual effects side of things and production directing side of things. Yeah, I knew that this little thing we created that was going to be a side gig, we had to make work for our family.
And this is something that has got the two of you through the loss of Leo's mother. The business is now well and truly established. You've been earning plaudits and winning awards left, right and centre. What is the secret of the success of your brownies?
I think sticking to the name. We create brownies. when we look at many other small businesses and bakeries, even if they're named like the Cookie Company or the Brownie Company, they start edging into other parts like blondies, pies, cookies, other things. And I kind of scratched my head. I'm like, yeah, but you guys are named Brownie something. You know what I mean? Why are you baking cakes? We stay in our lane, and we try to make the base of our brownies exactly what we wanted. And I kept telling Leo of this amazing 80s brownie that we have to have and try to create a little bit of chew, nice fudginess. And he thought his dad was crazy. But when we finally cracked it, he was like, yeah, man, I've never tasted anything like this. So yeah, it really works.
All right, so sticking to the core values, and my mouth is starting to water already. What would you say is the what would you say is the fastest shifting item in the Brooklyn brownie menu?
People do love Biscoff. They absolutely love anything Biscoff. And also when we did a Kahuna Cookie collaboration, because you slammed a nice gooey, rich, volcanic-looking type of chocolate chip cookie on top of one of our plain brownies, drizzled milk chocolate all over it, stuck a Yorkie cube on that, and then when you pop that in the microwave for 15 seconds, you had this treat that was just out of this world, and it was amazing.
John, I am drowning in my own saliva here. It sounds absolutely fantastic. You've now won the Business Excellent Award Food and Drink category. Is there going to be a celebratory Brooklyn brownie as a result?
Oh, my goodness. That night, me and Leah scooped out, I think, close to 1,000 brownies. So just as soon as the camera went off, we did a little bit of social posts and stuff. And then I was like, all right, son, we got to get to work. And, we just went instantly back to work. That's just how we do it.
What do you want to do with the business? Do you just want to keep ticking over as you are? Do you want to grow it? What's the plan?
I think the thing is people believe that I walked away from my day job, which was 16 years of corporate creation and creative marketing and things of that nature. But I didn't. We pushed everything into our brand, and now we're starting to push that brand a little bit further. Like we are creating our own 3D animations of a little dude, a main dude, and little dude. So this Adventures of Us. We're thinking about making children's books that are a little bit more diverse, and people can see people like us actually doing crazy jobs like this, baking, and just roles that you usually don't see. So we're seeing this as something has growth potential to not just do brownies, but to also bring in the media aspect. And Leo has a huge love for AI, so he's figuring out different things as well. Even if it's not used for our brownies or our brand, we have been helping and coaching other businesses as well.
I can't wait to see what the merchandise line looks like in due course. And there's definitely a film in the two of you. For now, though, John, say congratulations to Leo. I am massively impressed by the way you've developed this business and the fact that on awards night, there you were, scooping out 1,000 brownies at the same time as winning. Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
That's John Lashley from the Brooklyn Brownie Company, winners of the Food and Drink category at the Northamptonshire Business Excellence Awards. And I'm still salivating, so somebody please save me a brownie. Does your business need to be seen, be heard, or be found? Now, more than ever, companies need to make it clear that they are open for business. All Things Management is a team of creatives who connect their clients to their audience. To find out more, visit allthingsmanagement.co.uk. Be seen, be heard, be found. We're halfway through part 2 of 2 special editions of All Things Business, the podcast, celebrating the winners of the 12 categories at this year's Northamptonshire Business Excellence Awards. And again, it's time to move on. Land and Development Award, sponsored by Catalyst Land Solutions. Property development, particularly in the area of affordable housing, is a huge issue, not only for local authorities but central government as well. This year's award winner at the Northamptonshire Business Excellence Awards certainly has a skill in finding property for development and steering its owners through the myriad laws, rules and regulations attached to it. But where do you find suitable land in the first place? Brian Harding from Catalyst Land Solutions had all the answers for me.
We go looking for it directly ourselves. We have some agents that bring it to us, and what we sort of act on behalf of retained sort of housing associations and developers, because of our industry spanning experience in sort of development and due diligence critically. We're often able to take sites to housing associations in particular and be able to hold their hand through the acquisition process and the planning process through to on-site delivery, development, project management and handover of new units for them.
Where do you see the future for organisations such as your own? And there can't be many of them around, I would guess. But where do you see the future for, let's say, Catalyst Land Solutions going in the future? Do you want to spread the area that you want to work in wider, or do you just want to concentrate on a specific area?
Well, our ambition is to be the project management stroke land consultant of choice nationwide for housing associations. So we want to be known as the de facto go-to consultant of choice, really, which will grow off the back of continued consistent delivery of projects for our clients.
Does that mean that you're going to be acquiring land and also acquiring other businesses as well? Is that how you're going to reach that penetration of the market?
At this stage, it's more through spreading our wings, contact base into the land market, because we are getting sort of land agents come to us consistently in Bedfordshire, Buckinghamshire, Northamptonshire, Cambridgeshire. We're looking at stuff in Yorkshire. We're looking at stuff down in Wiltshire at the moment for clients as well. And it is, getting those for a new client, as you can appreciate, is getting that first one or two projects done. So the relationship develops, I suppose the trust builds up as well. Basically, we're looking at increasing our turnover 50% year on year.
That's quite some target that you're setting yourselves in that case. And of course, here in Northamptonshire, whilst you're saying that there are increasing inquiries, and let's not forget that we are very much still a rural county, we're about to go and see huge unitary change. Do you see that either putting the brakes on or actually releasing the brakes when it comes to new land becoming available for development?
I think the reality, and I've encountered it in Buckinghamshire last year, where they became a unitary authority, it hasn't really changed. The only thing I saw initially, and it was sort of this time of year, that certain, I would say, slightly trickier planning decisions were, we put it in the 2R tray until we become a unitary, so someone else can make that decision. So there was probably a 2-month lull, if you will, which, given everything else that was going on with the world this time last year, people had much, for genuine reasons, much more important things to be getting on with. So to be honest, I don't see it being a massive impact other than, you would hope, increasing the efficiency.
Well, you would hope, certainly. Planning applications notwithstanding and settling in notwithstanding, let's hope that service continues so that organisations such as your own and the property developers and ultimately the purchasers can get their homes built. In the meantime, Brian, it's great news. Congratulations. You are the Land and Development Award winners for 2020.
Excellent. Thank you very much.
That's Brian Harding from Catalyst Land Solutions. Big Business of the Year, sponsored by MHA McIntyre Hudson. Medigold Health. The final category of this year's Northamptonshire Business Excellence Awards, which we're looking at in this edition of All Things Business, the podcast, is arguably the blue ribbon category, albeit that all the winners in all the categories have proven their excellence in the face of fine competition from all the finalists. On the night, it was Medigold Health which took the accolade, and a few days later, I spoke to Chief Executive Alex Goldsmith about not only the company's success, but its repeated success from last year's Business Excellence Awards.
Well, it's absolutely fantastic. I mean, we obviously, like all businesses, we've been through a very tough year for obvious reasons, that like everybody else, and so to get this fillip at the end of it, or hopefully near the end of it, is amazing, especially seeing as it's the second year in a row that we've won this award.
Ask any person what's most important to them, and they're likely to say either their family or their health, and it's kind of always been that way. Ask any CEO about the most important asset of their business, and they're likely to say it's their people. From the perspective of occupational health, Medigold's business covers both groups, all of that, and a lot more besides.
Yeah, I mean, you've sort of stolen my punchline, because I always make sure, because it's true, that I acknowledge the people in the business first and foremost whenever we win these types of awards. I'm very lucky. I'm sure every CEO feels this, but I really do feel that I'm quite special in terms of the people I have working with me. I'm very lucky to have an incredibly high caliber of employee from every part of the business, and they're all just incredibly passionate about our company. And I suppose, as you say, because we're in health and wellness, it's very easy for them to feel passionate about what we do, because at the end of the day, we try and make the world a better place without sounding too cheesy.
Yours is a big business, but it's also a family business. Your dad set up the business. Why Northampton for what is now a company which literally reaches millions of employees across a very large area?
Yeah, that's a great question. So when my father started the business in '98, it was as a result of a management buyout from a London-based insurance company in an insurance medicine type of role. And it just turned out that the customers that, when he did the buyout, the customers that he had were spread far and wide from sort of not quite Land's End to John O'Groats, but not far short. So it was actually more convenient for him to be based more centrally than North London, where we were originally living. So my father moved the family and the business to Northampton in I think 1997, when before it was Medigold, and it's actually a very convenient place. Northampton, we love the county and we love the people, and we love the area, and it's not far from London if you want to go into London, so that's very convenient. But it's also very easy to get to all parts of the country and see lots of different customers. So that's the primary reason.
To what extent has Medigold been touched by COVID-19? And I mean that in more than one way. I mean literally in terms of how has the virus affected the business of the business, but also how has the virus affected the people who work in the business?
Well, that's a big question. So obviously we're in healthcare. I think the easiest way I can answer that is when the virus hit and the economy crashed, a lot of my friends were calling me saying, well, you must be in a good place. You run a healthcare and employee wellbeing business. You know, you must be in great demand. And the honest truth is that we kind of were, but we also had much of what we do removed because we simply couldn't do it. So we couldn't see people in clinics. We couldn't do a lot of the health work that we normally do because of the rules and the restrictions in place. So we actually lost 50% of our revenue pretty much overnight, even though we're a healthcare business. So we were as affected as anybody else. You know, any CEO or FD will tell you, if you lose 50% of your revenue overnight, you know, it's pretty hard to cope with. And so the way we honestly got round that problem was our people. Our people all were incredibly flexible. They all were brilliant in being asked to work differently, work remotely. They were the people that were asked to go on furlough did it without complaint and with a huge amount of grace and helpfulness. And the sort of half of the business that we had to keep on working to service the half of the customers that hadn't gone into hibernation, we actually all agreed to work to different terms, different hours. In some cases, even reduced pay, because obviously we were weathering a very significant storm. And so I want to say now, I'm glad this is going out on a podcast, because I want to say again to all the people at Medigold, you know, how grateful I am that they were all so incredibly helpful and amenable and just and obviously felt great affiliation and almost love for the business to help us get through what was a very tough time. So, and obviously then being in health and wellness, they've then had to go out onto the front line and take part in huge amounts of COVID testing and put themselves at risk. And obviously we made all the appropriate PPE and health and safety measures and COVID safety measures to make sure they're as safe as we can be. But they've done all of these things with huge amounts of fortitude and enthusiasm. So I couldn't be more grateful, really.
Coronavirus has affected so many sectors, virtually every single sector in the British economy. How do you feel it's going to shape your industry and particularly occupational health and welfare in the coming years? I mean, are costs going to skyrocket? Are more and more people going to be looking for support from companies like Medigold? I mean, how well placed are you to either take advantage or be able to field what could be a tidal wave of inquiries now?
I think the short answer is that for years, health and wellness has been paid slightly lip service by companies. It's been a bit of a tick box for a long time, if we're being blunt. We've seen before COVID, in the last 2 years, a sort of shift in the attitude towards health and wellness. So probably 2 years ago, it moved up from an AOB item on board meetings to probably number 3 or 4. What COVID has done quite clearly is push it for most businesses right up to number 1/2 alongside financials. So health and wellness in the workplace, mental health and well-being, looking after your people, realizing that to retain staff means, frankly, huge efficiencies and improved morale and improved culture in your business. And obviously health and wellness is a massive part of that. So COVID has, I would suggest, probably accelerated the already happening phenomenon of people focusing on health and wellness in the workplace by probably 2 to 5 years.
When it comes to developing that new business, Alex, who and where are your target clients?
The short answer is occupational health should and is now available to any employer, no matter if you've got 2 people or 50,000 or more. We can do that. It's a slightly different way of doing it. The one for smaller companies is called Medigold Health Protect, and you can find that on the website. Easy to find if you Google it, Medigold Health Protect. So no, we don't discriminate how big you are. I do feel that more and more employers will turn to occupational health as a way to keep their staff healthy and engaged, and we welcome all comers.
And I think we've come full circle because, let's face it, Alex, people buy people first. And that's clearly what has made you, not for the first time, Big Business of the Year. Congratulations to Medigold Health. A real pleasure to talk to you, Alex. Good luck for the future.
Thanks so much. It's a real pleasure. Cheers.
That's Alex Goldsmith from Medigold Health, Big Business of the Year winner at last month's Northamptonshire Business Excellence Awards. We've come to the end of talking to the winners, but what about the team that put the awards on, having had to come up with a totally different way to deliver them thanks to coronavirus? Here's your host, Ben Thomas. Ben was my first guest in episode 1 of All Things Business, the podcast. 6 months later, he was again in front of my microphone when I asked him if he and his superheroes had been under pressure to get the job done.
Pressure? We were under it. I'll be honest, it was last year we obviously rescheduled the awards. We wanted to hold out to have the live event, and cancelling it or postponing it was never an option, really, purely because of the number of entries that we had. Even though 2020 was that year that affected everybody in some way, shape or form, the show just had to go on. We reached out to our AV partners, Fabtronic, who we've worked with for a number of years, who are fantastic. We brainstormed lots of different ideas and we came up with the evening that we delivered.
What for you is the benefit of having awards in the first place?
Twofold. All Things Business, I would like to think it cements us within the Northamptonshire business community. But also Northamptonshire needs it. Northamptonshire is a wonderful county that's got such a diverse range of businesses. Long gone are the days that we will only be renowned for high-performance engineering or the shoe industry, even though those are 2 fantastic sectors that will forever be part of our history and heritage. But with, engineering, technology, food and drink, manufacturing, there's so many wonderful sectors that are in this county. And Northamptonshire, it needs I believe, an award ceremony that is fitting of those sectors.
Time and again, when I've been talking to the various award winners, they've talked about people. This has been, bizarrely, a year for employer-employee relationships, perhaps as never before.
Definitely. I mean, if you reflecting on the judges' comments, we facilitate the awards, we host and we arrange them. But when you listen to the judges' comments, the one common theme for all of that, I think, was the togetherness between that employer and employee. I think employees now, more than ever before, have really appreciated the hard decisions that employers have made. Employers have perhaps maybe appreciated the employees that little bit more because they've really gone above and beyond in these home working environments, etc. And that there's so many wonderful examples of of how tragedy, from COVID has actually brought, I would actually say the word success, because there's lots of examples of success, and I'm not on about financial success, I'm on about success in terms of relationships and positive outcomes, and that was really good to see.
One of the other things that Richard Osborne was saying as a judge, it was that actually it's the bold businesses that are going to benefit out of this. They know that they've got to make a perhaps hard decision, but they take the decision, they make a step into perhaps the unknown, but that boldness actually pays off. And with the country being in recession as it is, hopefully on the way out of pandemic, there are going to be opportunities in the economy as a result.
Definitely. I think if you look historically at previous recessions, the companies that make those bold decisions at the start and during those recessions always come out stronger. There's no end of examples of that. And I think, reflecting back on the employee-employer relationship, employees now, I think, not everybody financially has been massively hurt because of the number of different schemes that the Chancellor has implemented, but businesses have been hurt, and some of that knock-on effect hasn't necessarily happened yet. Hence why hopefully we're coming out of pandemic, but we still may be in recession for many, many months to come.
I talked about pressure. You've got to do this all over again later this year, haven't you?
Yeah. Hopefully this will be the last virtual awards, because we will come out of this pandemic. So in November, Sir Trevor McDonald will be the host. So I'm going to hang up my hosting skills, which obviously I was forced to do, and we're going to hand over to the one and only Sir Trevor McDonald to take over. And entries open in May for this year's awards.
Congratulations. They looked fantastic on the night. Oiled slightly by some gin before we got started. That was very welcoming to see, but a great success story for the county again.
Yeah, Warner's one of the county's flagship brands. If you look at their success, and in a relatively short period of time, we wanted something to break the ice, excuse the pun, and we always have a drinks reception at our events. And when we were brainstorming this, I said, we still got to do a drinks reception. And my superstars sort of looked at me and said, how are we going to do that? And I went, well, let's go live to Warner's. Can we do that? Well, let's make it happen. And Tom and his team are fantastic, and yeah, he's a bit of a character, a bit of a showman, and I thought it was a great way to start the awards. So
dinner jackets and sparkly dresses, but this time you're going to have to be careful what you wear below the waist.
Well, Sonny Singh very kindly took part in a little promo video for us, where I think he donned some Bart Simpson pyjamas on his lower half, but he wore his tux upstairs. But it was great to see on LinkedIn and Twitter and Facebook the number of selfies of people that actually did dress up. They were staying in, but they dressed as if they were going out, and that was really good to see.
That's Ben Thomas, now making way for Sir Trevor McDonald and 2021's Northamptonshire Business Excellence Awards. So get those nominations in. From the organisers again, sincere thanks to all the sponsors who supported all of the categories contested. And from me, my thanks to all my guests. Richard Osborne from Business Data Group, Caroline Lucy from Northampton Town Football Club, John Lashley from the Brooklyn Brownie Company, Brian Harding from Catalyst Land Solutions, Alex Goldsmith from Medigold Health, and Ben Thomas from All Things Management. Thanks to you too for listening and joining in with the excellence of Northamptonshire's Business Award winners. And until the next edition of All Things Business, the podcast, take care.